Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space, just coming on with an art journal page today. I'm working in an altered needlecraft book, and I got the idea of working in these altered books from Courtney Diaz. I'll link her channel below. She's also got a fantastic Facebook group, Thelittleink, I think her Facebook group is, and I think her YouTube is Little Raven Ink. I'll link it below anyway. Basically, she did a video showing this technique, and you take any sheet of paper. This particular paper I'd started already. I'd put the purple flowers down the side. The purple flowers actually come from my shopping list that is on my fridge. And I do a bit of meal planning on that and my shopping list. And these purple roses, and purple is my favourite colour, hence why I have the purple roses shopping list. And I hate to throw the roses out. So I decide to throw them in every time I finish a grocery list, I cut off the rose piece and stick it in my bits box. So I decided to stick them all down the page. Down the bottom, the purple bluey piece of pattern paper is actually a gel print that I did. So I've just finished there with my watercolours, my PBO watercolours, just putting some purples, blues and pinks in the background, just randomly on the page, just drying that from the back as well as the front, which makes your page not crinkle and warp a lot. So just drying that off. This technique Courtney does is builds up a whole lot of random colour and then draws some flowers over the top of it. So you're not thinking much when you're doing the actual colour because it doesn't really matter. All you're wanting is colour. So just wanted to make certain bits of it darker. I also made sure I coloured between the roses because there was a bit of a white strip there and I didn't really want them showing through. So just adding loads of colour and trying to darken it up and cover up a bit of those imagery in the needlework book. It's probably not a book I'd choose to work in again because the graphics are quite bold, but I'm having fun manipulating some of them and working in it. So just drying that up again, and then I'll start to doodle some flowers. This is a great technique to do if you just want to have a play. You can just sit down and just basically slap paint on paper, not sort of worrying about what you're painting or where you're going, nice abstract. You could do it with acrylic paint as well. I've done it with my beautiful PBO watercolours that I'm actually in love with. So just going through with a waterproof, it has to be a waterproof pen, this is a Sharpie marker, and just drawing out some basic flower shapes. I sort of took that strip of jelly print down the bottom to be like a flower bed, so I've actually got my flowers growing out of that. It's a bit hard to see my flowers, I'm sorry, until I go through and darken them up. So just sketching them freehand, not really worrying about if they're perfectly symmetrical or anything like that. This is just a bit of fun. So doing some leaves as well. Not really much to say in this video, it's all a bit repetitive. So just doodling a bit in the flowers as well. You'll have to excuse if you hear some background noise, it's my heater cutting in and out. It's a bit cold here in Australia at the moment as we're coming into winter. So I'm sitting here late at night with my heater on. Glad you can't see me, I'm huddled in my dressing gown because it's so cold at the moment. So just going in and darkening up the line so you can see the flowers. So you can't really see the flowers at this stage, but when we do the next step, it sort of brings the flowers out. So when you're painting on the watercolour, you don't know where you're going to actually draw your flowers. You have a bit of an indication. For example, I knew that I was going to have flower heads up the top of the page and sort of leaves in the middle because I wanted long stemmy flowers. But you can do sort of any flowers, and it doesn't matter that half are pink and half are purple, or there's a tiny little bit of pink on an all purple flower. It works out really well. So just finishing up with all the detail. So bringing in some heavy body paint. So you're wanting a paint that's not translucent, you're wanting a very opaque paint so that you actually cover up the watercolour you've just laid down. So I've just grabbed out my Use It Up journal, which is just a bunch of junk mail tied together, sewn together in a couple of signatures. So I'm just going in with my water brush and basically filling in all the background, so what I call negative painting. So just painting out the background and leaving your flowers show through a lot more. So this can take quite a while. You can also do this with a black, really thick black Sharpie marker, which is what I end up doing later on in this video actually. So you can basically black out the background with anything. You're wanting something that's very opaque, so you're covering up the colour, so you get a very good contrast. So it works great with black, works great with, I've done it with navy blue. I had this heavy body, thicker magenta paint, so I decided to have a go with that. So I am using a water barrel brush, which is a brush you can actually put water into the barrel of the brush, but I'm not using it for that purpose. It was just what was on my desk, and I grabbed that to work with as just as a normal paintbrush. I do end up going over a few of the shapes because I got a bit fiddly, but that's okay. It still looked really good. As you can see, the flowers aren't standing out as well as I'd like them to, but the colours were a bit close. The background colour and the foreground colour ended up being a bit close and a bit subtle for my liking, so you'll see I'll change it in a few minutes. What else to talk about? Nothing much. Australia's coming into winter and it's getting very, very cold, so that probably means a lot more videos because I won't be outside in the garden or outside doing a lot of stuff. I'll be at home trying to sit under the heater and do my art. Been working on a few things, but haven't been filming a lot of videos lately. I might do a what I've been up to video and just show you some little projects I've been working on, because I have been fiddling here and there, but just haven't turned the camera on. Once I'm finished with the paint, the idea behind this Use It Up journal is just to add layers of paint to the junk mail. Doesn't matter if some of the junk mail images show through, and eventually I'll turn that into a journal as well. So just giving that a dry. You can see the paint's a bit shiny. This heavy body paint, that one was from Spotlight quite a few years ago. I'm trying to use up a lot of things this year, so a lot of old paints and a lot of old supplies I'm finding in boxes I haven't unpacked for a few years after moving house a few times. So trying to use up bits and pieces. So some of the products I show in my videos you may not be able to buy anymore. Sorry. But I've decided to use them up. So just drying that off. It does take a bit to dry because it is a heavier body paint. So I don't know whether everyone else does this, but to see if my paint's dry, I actually stick my fingers in it. If I get paint on my finger, it's obviously not dry. So I tend to dry from the back as well, because as I said previously, it does help the page from not warping. You can see it's curling up a bit at the top. That's that right hand corner. But that's okay. This is just my book to have fun. It's an altered journal, and I think the whole book cost me $2. And if I do a page I don't really like in it, nah, doesn't really matter. I'm undecided whether I like this page or not. I sort of liked it at this stage, but it didn't have enough contrast, so I decided I wanted to do some detailing on it. So I get out a white gel pen, and it's not really writing. I don't have much luck with white gel pens. There's another white gel pen that sort of works, sort of doesn't. That other one sort of is not a solid white. It does sort of two skinny lines of white either side of the pen line, which irritates me. So I thought, what are we going to do? We'll chuck some white highlights on it. That'll make it look awesome. Yeah, well, it didn't get didn't really get the effect I was looking for. So I changed my mind and do something totally different in a minute. I'm doing that a lot lately. If I don't like the page, I just keep throwing product at it and hoping that magic will happen and then I like it. I think all mixed media artists are like that. If we don't like it, we keep pushing it and pushing it. until we either like it or stuff it up. So then I decided it needs a black border. So this is an oil-based marker from Diaz, and oh my god, it stinks, but it covers everything. So I decided to add a bit of a black border and a bit of border between the flowers on the right-hand side. Then I decided I might put some shadowing on the flowers because I wanted them to jump out of the page. I didn't want them to sort of be lost in the page, which I thought they were lost. Then I decided to outline the bubbles, and then, well, sort of I covered the whole page with black. And it's a bit shiny because it's an oil-based marker from Diaz. And if you don't know what Diaz is, it's a cheapy Japanese store where everything, well, in Australia it's $2.80, other places in the world it's $1 or $1.50 depending on the exchange rate. And they have some really cool funky stuff, so this is a really big chunky marker. So I now go and cover it with black, which I don't know whether I actually like. Whether I like it more than the pink, or the pink's now gone because I'm covering it up. So I just keep throwing product at the page and see what happens. I do finish after this black texture because I really decide I can't throw anything else on the page. For me, art journaling is not about the finished process. Yes, I love some of my pages and they're my favourite pages, but other pages, it's like, nah, I had fun, I experimented, I've done this page before and got a really lovely effect. That one, the texture is very shiny. Now I don't know whether that's the paint underneath or the texture on top, but that's all for now, and I'll catch you again. Thanks for watching to the end, and if you try this technique, I'd love to see. Thanks for showing. Thanks for watching. Oh my god, I can't talk tonight.